I can say that Darren is a plugger. He used to have his office right directly across from me. And when I was at Marine Max, and man, he was just at it all the time with his clients and service and all that. Somebody asked something about what to read. When I had my own company, we had this, everybody knew everything about every client philosophy, even the receptionist. So that when that individual would walk in, you say, how you doing there, Mr. So-and-so or Mrs. So-and-so? Everyone from the receptionist all the way down to the lady that was cleaning the place at night. And we took that out of, I don't know anybody ever heard of a name Horst Schulze by chance? Does that ring out? Somebody over here has. Well, he developed the mantra for Ritz-Carlton's 24 standards of service for customers. From the time the customer pulls up in the limousine or the car, gets out of the car, from that moment on, there's somebody attending to him or taking care of him, or her in that case. So that's a good thing to look up if you want to. Horst Schulze, 24 standards of service for customers, Ritz-Carlton. And that takes us to our next. I want to mention also Jeff Stanley. Jeff, it's a little goof on you. That was pretty funny. There's a picture of you bandying about the room right now with you with the crown on your head. I think Bob Dennison might have had something to do with it. I can't be sure. Jeff is on our executive committee, and he's the ex-checker of the Treasury for EVA, and he does a fantastic job. Okay, so that's all I can say, watching over your funds. Next, thank you, sure. Mike Mullinger from Pier 1 Yacht Sales is the president of Pier 1 Yacht Sales. He's been taking good care of his clients, we just talked about, since 2004 with a 30-year background in technology. He assumed ownership Pier 1 Yacht Sales here recently, so let's all welcome Mike Mullinger, who's going to talk about BoatDox.
Thank you. So I am the third presenter in a group of three right after lunch. So I get the opportunity to try to keep everybody interested in the exciting and wonderful topic of BoatDox. Hey, there you go. So, see if I can make this work here. All right, so I'm assuming most everybody knows what BoatDox is. We'll be going through it today. What we're going to talk about today is we're not going to go through screenshots and functionality and exactly how it goes. That is Garrett Schwartz's area. I'm going to talk to you about why Pier 1 Yacht Sales moved to BoatDox and why it is a great system and why I think you guys should do the same. So, why am I here? So this is not a philosophical seminar. Why am I here speaking? So this is my first time to be privileged to speak in front of an IYBA audience. And I'm here because Paul texted me about 3 weeks ago with the exact question of, would you present at the sales summit? So since I heard a rumor that IYBA pays really, really well, I said, absolutely, I'm in. Then a few days later, I had the presence of mind to text him back and say, hey, what am I talking about? So he wanted me to come here and talk about BoatDox and about how we took it over and what we do and how we've moved there. So I'm going to cover it from a few different areas, but where I come from is I've spent 30 years in the technology field. Grew up boating and fishing in Ohio, actually. I had buckeyes falling off the trees and hitting me in the head. But as a founder of a tech startup back in 2008, I worked for Boats Group for a little while, and now I'm the current owner of Pier 1 Yacht Sales in Punta Gorda, Florida. So we've been working on BoatDox for a while. I've been working with Garrett because of my background to try to set it up and see how it goes. So let's talk about it. All right. So my favorite thing about BoatDox is people ask, what is BoatDox? Is it a contracts management system like other systems out there? It is not just a contracts management system. It is a sales management system. By using BoatDox, I have at my fingertips a dashboard that shows me what is going on in my brokerage. So I've looked over many Google searches trying to find something that's geared towards how do you manage a yacht brokerage. And there's no custom software out there. There's not really anything that fits exactly what we do. BoatDox does. It allows me to track all my opportunities in the system from the moment that I get a listing agreement all the way through to closing. I can see where all of my listings are, where we are in the deal process, and what the size of our transactions and what our inventory looks like. It allows me to do that, to dig in and go into if I see a certain number I want to look at, a certain deal, a certain category, I can dig deeper into that. So it gives us what we haven't had, as far as I know, a system that actually allows us to look at our business instead of having to click through and try to find individual dashboards and run everything on spreadsheets. Another benefit to this is that you can add custom documents. So we'll get into a little more in a minute, but just so I make sure I cover it. So we use the IYBA contracts as a standard. We had a couple of things we wanted to change. So they are copyrighted. So Paul said I was allowed to do it. I just had to remove all the EBA copyright language off the contracts themselves. So you can customize your contracts. So this system fits with you, not you fitting your business to the system. Oh, and I forgot the most important thing. It is free. So they're not making me pay for it right now. I'm sure they will in the near future, but for now we have access to it, and it's something we use. All right, broker adoption. So the second idea that I had was, okay, great, I'm going to put this system in. I've got 58 brokers, and some of those guys have been around for a long time. Are they going to use it? So I have found that because it's so user-friendly, it's been designed to be very, very easy to click through, to know where you're going, to know where you've been, that my brokers adopted it very, very smoothly. Believe it or not, I was telling somebody this morning, so I moved it in, and usually I've got about 10 people or so that no matter what change I make, I'm going to hear about it in every weekly meeting that we have. When I implemented this system, before they touched it, I got that standard response. The next week, after everybody was in on it, and they watched the tutorials that Garrett put together, which are amazing, I got there the next week expecting a lot more, and I got none. Everybody was using it. All they had were questions, and some of them requests to come in the office and work a little bit on it with us. But everybody was happy with it, which never happens when you put 58 brokers together in a room. So they've adopted it. It makes their lives easier. It also makes my life easier because I can now look in the system and make sure that I've got ownership documents and I've got driver's licenses. And I know that I've got signed documents when we get to a certain deal standpoint. It lets us know when we have acceptance of vessels. So my operations people can just look and see where we are so that we can continue to manage our business instead of just try to play catch up and find out where in the heck we are. Because we're managing right now, I think we have 154 listings as of this morning. And for me to get a picture of that with systems we've had in the past and with other companies, I'd have to keep a spreadsheet running and check reports and do a bunch of click. It took me a couple hours in the morning to get an idea of where my business was. Now I can look at it on one dashboard. And the brokers, we talked about service. We've talked about taking the time to work with your clients. We've talked about that personal touch. Well, if they are spending their time trying to figure out documents and what they're doing on the back end of the system, they're now talking to their clients. So it's made them much more efficient and effective, and they can see what tasks are due. So I can say, hey, I'm waiting for this document or that piece of paper or whatever it may be, and they can see what that is and go do it. Most importantly, I have spent my time since I took over Pier 1 Yacht Sales in trying to minimize the multiple entries and all of the computer work that my brokers have to do, because that takes time away from client interaction. So this system integrates fully with yachtbroker.org. So if you have moved your inventory into yachtbroker.org, and if you're on that system, this ties in with it completely. You can make offers from here. You can load boats from here. If you load a boat in BoatDox, it goes to the yachtbroker.org and comes back the other way. So it's a very integrated system. And as more and more folks get on it, it will become more and more advantageous to those that are on it, because now we can even communicate with each other through the yachtbroker.org and look at where everything is. All right, security. Is Paul still in here? So Paul, what is it you said about data this morning? That's right. So with BoatDox, let's see. if I could ask a favor, every board member that's in here or EBA team member that's in here, could you stand up for a minute? Just real quick. Sorry to make you stand up. So these are the people that are in charge of the systems that hold our data. They are people we elect. They are people that we talk to. It is our association. Okay, thanks, guys. You can sit back down. I'll just make them stand all day. So our data, we own our data now. So instead of turning our data over to a third-party company, so we don't turn over our control, we own our data. And the only risk we have of our data going anywhere or our data being used for something we don't want it to be used for, our only risk is those people that just stood up. And they're all here to look out for our best interest. So it's a much more secure state of affairs than if we go with a third-party company. Plus, as Paul said, we need to own our own data. And this is a big step in that space. Because this is the most critical data we have. It is our financial data. It is our business. It is what we are doing. It is what we are making. And we've got to keep control of it. Let's see, where else am I? So, again, the other nice piece of security with this is that Garrett has designed multiple access levels. So I can have not only my brokers to have their access level, my managing brokers in a given location can manage their own brokers. I can see everybody. And my contracts administrator can get in and see what contracts are out there and work on closing deals. Excuse me. So there's different levels of access that allow you to very tightly control who has access to what and who's controlling where. So if you want to have, say you have 5 offices and you have a managing broker somewhere that you want to have sign off on the contracts for that office, you can set it up that way. If you want to control everything yourself, you can set it up that way. So it allows you to make sure that the right people have the information they need at their fingertips, but not more than they need, or being able to change or modify anything they're not supposed to. And finally, the most important thing, and this one, this one's one of my favorites. Because I've always said to my folks, you have to be easy to do business with. That's the most important thing. Make it easy for people to work with you. They want to work with you. They want to engage with you. A lot of it was just said on stage. The systems that have been out there on the market that we have all used have some levels of complexity to them, especially for our clients that are not very tech savvy. So we all know, I have a 21-year-old daughter who I am a dinosaur for. I have some brokers in my company that I lovingly refer to as my technology dinosaurs. They're not the most aggressive in the technology field. But we also have a lot of clients out there that aren't real familiar with technology. So I think we've all probably had that instance where I've had to have a broker, or sometimes myself, go to a client's house and hand sign a contract because I couldn't get them to figure out how to paste a code somewhere or couldn't get them to click on the right button. So with this system, it's been designed so it's very, very easy. You can do it from your phone, and you just click through for the signing of the documents. It's very, very intuitive. It's much more like DocuSign. Thank you. I was blanked for a second. So it's much more like DocuSign. It's much easier to use, and it's much more intuitive for the folks that are not super techy. It's very streamlined, and it also allows the brokers to have a more streamlined technology on their side so that they truly can look at their business on their cell phone and figure out where they are and what they're doing. So when they're waiting for that showing that's a half an hour late, they can actually be productive and get some work done and look at what other tasks they have to do. So finally, this is an example, actually. So this is our custom form that we did. Notice, Paul. I took that off. So it does say Pier 1 confidential. So actually, I feel like our contracts are also a reflection of the company. Actually, I had a graphic designer help to make our contracts look nicer. And so the BoatDox could accommodate that for me. And so our contracts look really nice. And I think that's important for the image of our company. All right. So see, that was pretty painless, right? So questions about BoatDox, how we use it, how we got on it, what we've done. I would like to shout out to Garrett. He's been amazing. The support that we have received with the BoatDox program from Garrett's team is fantastic. over there, Paul. And so thank you, Garrett. There's Garrett. Thank you very much, Garrett. Yes, sir.
So, Mike, not a question, but as the treasurer, IYBA, just mentioned.
Well, it's a money question. Right?
Technical dinosaur, sorry. As the treasurer, I just want to comment. We've spent a boatload of money on things like the e-sign instead of buying a per signature. We created our own, and so we've made it very, very safe. And I'm guilty of not yet signing up for the program, but I tell everybody in the room, you need to do this. Because you send me Brand X's document signing or program, I'll send it back to you and tell you, send me a PDF.
Yep.
Because I don't want to share my client info outside the industry. And so, again, not a question, just advising everybody, including myself, to get on board with this program.
Yeah, and I appreciate you mentioning that because I forgot. So I was asked that question about, well, what is BoatDox? How does it work? I've heard people say, well, it's just an association program. It can't be really good. It's not built by a software company. I've had a lot of questions and things about BoatDox as people have found out that I've been working on it. But it is really important that that I tell you that it's absolutely, and this is because I'm on it. It has been the easiest transition and the best system that I've been involved with for a while. My company, when I took it over months ago, was on paper ledger books, handwritten checks, no technology at all. So we made a ton of changes over the past 9 months. And this was one of them. And this has been the easiest of anything we did and had the best adoption that we've done. And it's going to do more for my business and literally saves me 2 hours a morning, because every morning I'd go in and see where's my business. And I'm looking through 3 spreadsheets, probably clicking on 2 or 3 individual deals. This I can look at in 5 minutes. And I know exactly where I stand for the morning, and I know where to spend my time. And the more people that get on this, and that are also on yachtbroker.org, the better we all work together, because now we can make offers on each other's boats. We're singing from the same songbook. We can all see what we're doing. And it really is, and I've done a lot of research, it really is the most customized system for managing a yacht brokerage that I have seen out on the market. And that's why we're on it.
So while we wait for another question from the audience, a couple of things that I want to mention to highlight what Mike was talking about. Mike was talking about being able to see where you are in a deal. You've got calendar reminders. So if it's a couple of days before your acceptance of vessel is due and there hasn't been any activity on that, it's going to start reminding you it's time for your acceptance of vessel. Different memorial dates. As you look at your checklist, it's going to be, green, yellow, red, whatever the case may be, with do you have these documents uploaded into it to complete your file, so that you have a complete file of information by the time you get to closing. It's not closing is supposed to happen at 10 o'clock tomorrow morning, and I've got 37 documents that I still have to gather, collect, upload, put up into the system. So it's showing the admins or the brokers, whomever is handling the paperwork, it's showing you as you go along what you're still missing and what needs to be put in place. With regard to the board members and all that stood up, yes, they have input. These are the guys that ensure the security of it. They all have access to it. You don't have to worry about it because Jeff Stanley's so busy with 60 clients a year that, in all honesty, nobody has access to it. This data is your data.
Yep.
We are warehousing it for you in a secure environment, but it is your data. We never look at it. We're never going to look at it. We're never going to dig into it. We're never going to scrape it. We're never going to utilize it to solicit your clients or anything like that. It is your data. That's what's most important.
Yep.
Sure. Oh, Mike.
This question's probably more for you, Paul. With the ability to customize the IYBA agreement for individual brokerage houses, doesn't that lessen the uniformity and point of the IYBA agreement that we're trying to get uniformly accepted?
So while Mike and I talked about this a little bit, yes.
By the way, thanks for getting me in trouble. I appreciate it.
You did it yourself. No, the EBA agreements are copyrighted. Why are the EBA agreements copyrighted? Look, the whole premise behind building the EBA agreements was to allow a broker to receive an offer from another broker and know the language that's in the document. I mean, I've been at this for a little while. A lot of you have been at this for a little while. For how many years did you receive an agreement and you had to read every page of a 4-page agreement? If you were doing your job right and you were representing your listing client properly, did you have to read the entire agreement to make sure that this contract didn't come through and say, will be construed as acceptance, as opposed to will be construed as acceptance? So we standardized the agreements and we copyrighted that. What does that mean? When you copyright something, if someone changes it, they've broken the law. Now, we as the copyright holder, if we chose to, could file suit against that person. Minimum $5,000 per copyright infringement. EBA has never sued anybody for violating the copyright of the agreements. Mike chooses to change a couple of lines in his contract. The bulk, the meat of his contract is the same language as what's in the IYBA agreement.
Yep.
But some of us choose to do business in certain areas that we want to make life a little bit easier. Like, let's say you sell a lot of 30-foot boats or 32-foot boats. You're selling a lot of them. You're making a living. God bless you. You know, people are going to sell 30-foot boats. People are going to sell 30-meter boats. People are going to sell 100-meter boats. People are going to sell all sorts of different stuff. But if you find for your client base that you want to change a piece of language in the listing agreement to say that the standard term will be 6 months, then knock yourself out. But what you got to do is you got to go to the bottom of the agreement and you got to remove the copyright, because it's no longer the language that is copyrighted by IYBA.
Yeah.
We can allow you to upload that custom. We don't recommend it. Bob Allen and Rob Moss and John Burkhardt and I worked really hard. Chris Anderson was part and parcel of the whole program. We've worked really hard at keeping these living documents relevant, updating them, changing them with acceptable language that we can all work really well with. But if you have specific things like that example, Mike chooses to have a little different term of the agreement.
Right.
So what he did is he uploaded that custom document and took the copyright off of it. I used to work for a yacht brokerage company that sold a lot of a certain brand of boat. And for a long period of time there were some gel code issues with those boats. So every deal that you did on one of those boats, the company that I worked for required that you accompany the purchase and sale agreement with an addendum that limited the liabilities and made everybody aware of the fact that, hey, for a period of time, Cook's gel coat was a problem. We don't want to hear about it. You've been told about it. So let's not go through all this process and 6 months have you come sue us because you've got spider cracking in the corners of your boat. So it was part and parcel of the agreements. It was an addendum that was added to. If that were the case today, and you're a BoatDox subscriber, you can upload that into it, and you can even make provision through our software. Garrett will label it that says, if you buy a Flannery boat from 2000 to 2005, it has XYZ gel code on it, it automatically gets this addendum. It goes into the checklist. It's an automatic thing. So it's a business tool for you as a manager or an owner of a company that simplifies the process.
Yeah, and I can say that I did it because I wanted my documents to look a little different, and I only made, like Paul said, very, very minor changes. So, for example, I've got a few guys that seem to want to just make an entire retirement out of just selling $30,000 to $40,000 sailboats. So I hard coded a minimum commission into the agreement just so that those guys know that they have to make a certain minimum commission on those boats because of the time it takes and the effort it takes. So the bulk of it is still the EVA standard language. And actually, I love the EVA contracts because they're straightforward, they make sense. They're a lot better than some things I've seen out there, but we changed it very, very little. But the system itself, if you have things that you want to get done to make your life easier, you can always talk to Garrett and his team, and they can do a lot to make to tune things so that it works for you.
So I did a lot of talking. We have other questions? Garrett, anything you want to add or share that you feel is important? Hang on. You got to have the microphone, buddy. Yeah, I know. So can I.
Just to put everybody at ease. This isn't the Wild West where anybody will be able to upload any contract you want and then send it out with no review. Mike went through the process, got it approved. Programmers uploaded it. It's a white glove service, making sure fields match from the MLS, from the documentation that's added. It's not that anybody can just add anything they want. So I just wanted to let you know.
It's custom with limitations.
No.
We have no other questions in the audience. So how many people are going to subscribe before the end of the day? End of the week? End of the month? Okay, so it's a product that you need to look at right now. Mike had mentioned it's free. So the board of directors, their mission is to provide services for the membership. We as a group have decided that the platforms that we produce with the Treasury of IYBA are available to members of any professional association because it's better for everyone in the industry. So you've got a product that you're free to use right now. Use it as you choose. Give us feedback. We're going to do a subscription model to it, yes. We're going to do a subscription model to it very affordably, and we're not going to surprise you when we do the subscription model. So have a look at it. Give us your questions. Give us your feedback. Garrett's still doing some refinements to it here and there. We have a couple of big companies and a couple of small companies that are digging into it pretty hard right now. And so far, I would dare say, you're ready to do deals.
Yep.
Listing agreements, purchase and sale agreements, closing statements. The e-sign platform that Jeff alluded to, we went to a third-party provider for a plug-in for our e-signing. And I was working with a software development company, and the initial conversations that we had with this third-party provider were that it was going to be about 40 some odd cents per signature. And we figured there an average of 27 signatures per deal. So on the business model, we could still keep it very, very affordable, and it made sense. When we went to go into the environment where we were really hard testing the product, they announced to me in a middle of a conversation, just kind of very casually, so yeah, okay, at $4 per signature, and there goes the needle across the record, right? I went, whoa, 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 whoa. How much? They said, yeah, it's $4 per signature. I said, wait a minute, when we had this conversation 3 months ago, it was 40 cents per signature. Yeah, well, we were bought by Dropbox and our business model has changed. That's when I went back to the board and said to the board, our developer can build our own custom e-signing platform. So that is fully integrated into the system. It is secure like the rest of the system is. We don't have something that's going to get sold out to somebody else that's going to cost a whole pile of money, 6 months, 6 years from now, and you're subscribing and addicted, and all of a sudden, oh my God, now the price is going to go skyrocketing up. That's not the program. We have complete control of this product in-house. So we can control the development, we can control the security, we can control the pricing.
Yep, and if you have any questions about how we use it or what the transition was like or anything of that nature too, my contact information's in the booklet, so please let me know.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank Mike Mullinger for his help.
Thanks, guys.
Just want to mention one thing. It's clearly, let's understand that Mike was not up here showing for himself or for any personal gain. He just happens to be a fervent and passionate believer in it. And it's sort of like a volunteer thing that he did it for us. So it is a good program, and I think that those of you that are not on there are missing out. So he got a free lunch today, that's all. So the pink sheets, about time you start thinking about these things. We're going to take a break. You deserve a break. You've been attentive. You've been reactive. You've been passionate with your questions and all that. So take a break, and we'll call you back in around 15 or 20 minutes and start thinking about your pink sheet. No pinky, no drinking, okay?